top 8 and win Pro Tour Return to Ravnica in Seattle. Also did top 8 the Block Pro Tour Journey into Nyx. Patrick Chapin was the champion of that one, of course, but Stanislav did top 8 with the Red-White Heroic deck.
A great deck builder.
Yeah. He's also okay at chess.
I don't know about his chess resume. He's got game.
One of the best in the world, actually.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Ooh, it appears as though Stanislav has been meandering a little bit.
Oh, a little turtle. It doesn't look like Osborne has an island out there, however.
Meandering turtle against non-blue opponents is one of the more awkward cards in the format.
A touch.
We as gamers definitely overuse the word awkward. This thing is awkward.
The Meandering Tower Shell is really something. I've seen it be very good. I've seen it be awkwardly poor.
Yes, it's great at blocking no matter what.
Yes.
But when you want to go on the offensive, it's a little sloppy.
Yeah. Here is a Savage Punch. The Highland game looks like it's going to go after the Morph. Now again, Savage Punch, it is ferocious because there is that gigantic Tuscadon out there, the Tusk Colossadon. So the Highland game is going to win that war because it does get +2/+2 for the fight. And now it's time to battle with the turtle as well.
Showing up late, but before the party ended, you know?
Don't forget, that Highland game does have 2 damage on it. Even though it won the war in the fight, damage still does happen when you do fight. So we'll see how Osborne likes to block here.
None of them are very attractive.
Nah, none of them look great. I'm agreeing with you about that.
And you can't really get any of his Outlast action going here because that requires him to tap his creatures down. And Stanislav is applying so much pressure that it's not clear he has time for that sort of thing.
I really like that name, Tusk Colossadon.
I bet R&D or their naming team has a lot of fun naming the big beasts.
Yeah. Just
the Hundroogs of the world,
yeah,
I'm sure.
6 mana,
real
6/5
blast to name.
textless. Just really is something, isn't it? Here's 4 mana. Ooh, boy, that thing has become immense.
As if it wasn't immense enough to begin with. It has now become immense.
Become immense, of course, is the Delve Pump Spell +6/+6 for Cifka. That'll win game number 2, and for him and Osborne, they are headed to game number 3.
That's interesting, you know, Stanislav being this master chess player. Because I would imagine there's not a lot of overlap between those demographics, you know. Magic's a very high variance game, chess, of course, a low variance game, so you just gotta love gaming in general, I think, to be really compelled by both.
I believe
or you just
does.
like being awesome at things. And
he happens to be awesome at both.
Yep.
That's definitely a thing. Again, did win Pro Tour Return to Ravnica in Seattle a couple of years ago, playing Eggs.
Yep.
A lot of people's least favorite combo deck.
Yeah. I wonder the minutes of human lives he's ultimately responsible of shaving off the human experience as a result of that deck.
Well, I'll give him this. He was very good at playing it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the easiest deck to play.
And hey, that tournament was him. I know we talk a lot about, Luis Scott Vargas at Pro Tour San Diego many years ago, where he ran through the Swiss, didn't lose a match, 16-0, before I believe being dispatched in the quarterfinals of that tournament, maybe the semifinals. I do apologize if I got that wrong to Luis, but for Cifka, he sure did destroy that Pro Tour Return to Ravnica. He was the number 1 seed going to the top 8 easily.
Well, if you didn't have really specific cards in your sideboard for that matchup, I mean, you had no shot.
And most people did not. For that Pro Tour. I played in that Pro Tour. It's actually the last one I played in. And going into that Pro Tour, a lot of people were, of course, preparing for the Jund Mirrors, because that was very clearly the best deck in the format. But for Cifka, a lot of people, the thing with Eggs was, I don't really want to bother testing against this. No one's going to play this deck. Let's just test the Jund Mirrors some more.
That comes up a lot, man. Have you ever tried testing for a Legacy event and someone says, hey, who's going to give me some games I want to test against Dredge, Get
out of my house. We're not doing that.
Can I get some games against Charbelcher? So, no one's going to do that.
Yeah. That's what I think happened with Cifka. It certainly doesn't hurt that Cifka learned to play his deck very well.
We joke around, but that's a real thing. I mean,
no, it's 100% real.
Testing for Pro Tour Dragon's Maze, finding people to pilot the Esper mirrors over and over again to try to figure out what was the cards we wanted in the mirror match. That's no easy or fun process.
It's work.
Yeah.
It's work. I'd rather draft We're going to do that or do nothing.
A lot of people on the team ended up rather drafting. As it turns out.
Yeah, I'd rather just draft. How about that? Doesn't surprise me, man. I got ninth place in the Grand Prix with Dredge in Oakland. And a lot of the time, players were just like, I didn't test against this deck. No one wants to play it. I hope I draw my Leyline of the Void, I guess. Does that work?
Yeah.
That's a fine strategy, but...
I put 4 Tormod scripts in my sideboard, and if it's not good enough, you know I didn't deserve to win.
Yep, pretty much. We'll see who's on the player. It looks like Osborne's going to take a mulligan very quickly, so did not like the starting 7 that he had. Cifka looks content with his 7. These players have about 16 minutes to go here for game number 3.
So do you have a rough idea of where Stanislav is actually ranked in the world, or you just know that he's...
For chess,
yeah.
I do not follow chess. I'm sure AJ Soccer, I know, is watching the broadcast. You could probably tell us.
Sure.
AJ, if you'd like to tweet at us at SCG Live, hashtag GPOrlando. That's for AJ only. No one else can use that.
Yeah. He gets his own.
I want to make sure that we're clear about that. No one else can tweet at SCG Live or hashtag GPOrlando. Only AJ Soccer can.
He's got his own hotline to the Kremlin, as it were.
See if Osborne can find a better 6 here. We battle this 4-color mirror. I want to take a look at some of the gold cards here for him, see if he has anything busted. He does have 2 copies of Abzan Guide. There's a Death Frenzy, a Rakshasha Death Dealer. Quite the magic card there. He also has a Sorin Solemn Visitor as well. So,
I like rocking the nose sleeves. But
it's old school.
It does give away you probably don't have a Sarkin Ball in your sealed pool.
Yeah, no Sark in the Dragon Speaker, I guess. A couple of dual lands to start. Both players will start at 21. For Cifka, he has himself a Swiftwater Cliffs. For Osborne, a Tranquil Cove.
The Wetland Sandbar.
Yeah. 2-1 Textless.
From the old, you got to cast something on turn to school of morph combat.
Oh, there's a morph and there's a beatdown. So the Sandbar gets in 2 points of damage. Going to bring Osborne down to 19. I always love myself a card that just power, toughness, casting cost, and a story to tell. Yep. Some of my favorites. Osborne without a 3rd land. This game could be over before it even starts. Here's an attack for 4. No one morph there for Cifka, it looks like. Does he have a follow-up play? He does not. Osborne will draw a card. Is it a land? It is the Nomad Outpost. So a little bit of fixing there for Paul. Here is a mountain. Here is an attack. Very quickly unmorphing. Whoa. A knock tracker. 3/3 first strike. So you pay 5 mana to get that 1 extra point of power through.
Yep.
Powerful stuff.
Wow.
It's the first strike that you're actually paying for.
I thought we were going to see a Snowhorn Rider.
That's actually
something.
That's the exact card I was expecting, yeah. There's a banner there for Osborne, so Osborne has to pay for his mana this turn. He's still getting beaten down, though.
If you're in your Paul seat as Stanislav's tapping the 5 mana, you're thinking, I'm dead.
Pretty much.
And then you're thinking, maybe not.
I can maybe come back here.
He's still in a ton of trouble here, especially when his follow-up's just a banner.
There is an attack for 5 more. Osborne's down to 5.
Players,
so at this point, the only question is, does Stanislav choose to play around in hostilities, and if so, how?
Yep, that's the big question. It feels like having only 2 threats, though, isn't a great way to play around that card.
Yeah, because, Paul could... it depends. If Stanislav has a removal spell in his hand, it's probably fine.
Okay.
Because what's most likely to happen here is Paul couples together 1 creature. The disaster scenario is he goes, let's say, creature plus removal spell. And if you're sandbagging threats, well, then that might give Paul the time to draw out of it. Now, to clarify, I believe Paul does not have end hostilities in this list. So the question is only, is Stanislav willing to give up a little bit of tempo here to play around a sweeper?
It sounds like the answer is yes.
Yeah.
So he just plays a 6 land and passes the turn back. And hostilities, to me, it's this card where it only takes it once for it to happen, and you say, okay, I got to start playing around this thing. You play around it for the rest of the day, rest of the tournament, probably the rest of the time that you're playing in the format. Osborne's draw for the turn was a copy of Incremental Growth. Not too good on this board.
Yep.
I think he's going to go with the Unyielding Krumar. Cifka will draw very quickly. This feels like he has a removal spell probably. Yeah, Incremental Growth. So you get +1. My creatures get +2 and +3.
They're both lethal now. Yeah, he goes up to 5 power on both creatures, and Paul with only 1 blocker.
Cifka will turn them both sideways. One of those actually has 3 counters. There it is. And Osborne can block one. He will show the hand and extend the other one. Stanislav Cifka is going to win this match over Paul Osborne. 2-1. Some mana troubles there for Paul, but for Cifka, the Pro Tour return to Ravnica champion and international chess master, he moves on to 6-1.